All right, let's start with Tula, one of the most mysterious sites in Mesoamerica. When I visited Hidalgo, Mexico, and stood face to face with those monumental 15-foot-tall statues, the Atlantean figures, wow. It's like being transported back in time. They're not just big. They're imposing, radiating this energy like they're still watching over us. It kind of catches you off guard. You feel this presence.
Absolutely. And Tula wasn't just any city. It was the center of the Toltec Empire, a civilization that combined military prowess with profound spiritual knowledge. The Toltecs were often thought of as warrior priests, which is exactly what those statues represent. The butterfly breastplates, the spear throwers, all those details. They weren't just decorative.
Right. They were deliberate, loaded with symbolism. The atlatls they carry, for instance, is like they weren't just weapons, but tools of ritual or maybe ceremonial warfare. These weren't ordinary soldiers.
Not at all. These were elite figures, probably considered guardians of both the spiritual and the physical realms, protecting sacred knowledge. And the fact that those statues were placed on the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, that ties everything together. Quetzalcoatl was seen as a bringer of wisdom, goodness,
And connected with the cosmos. Yeah, precisely. Standing there, you think about all the layers of meaning. And honestly, when I looked into their faces...
If faces is what we can call those eerie visages, right?
Exactly, their expressions are so stoic, so still, like they're caught in a timeless moment. It's almost like they're still standing guard over secrets we've yet to unravel.
And it's interesting because Tula itself was methodically designed. The layout of its temples, the precision, it suggests a deep understanding of astronomy and sacred geometry, something that truly stands out across Mesoamerican sites.
Yeah, it's like every detail of their world, from the statues to the architecture, was infused with meaning. So let's stick with the Atlantean statues for a second. That term, Atlantean, it wasn't a Toltec word at all, was it?
Nope. It was a much later addition, coming from Greco-Roman influences. But, in a way, it's fitting. The statues do evoke this mythical, otherworldly vibe, almost like they're relics of something bigger, something ancient.
Exactly, and standing there, it's hard not to wonder if they're linking us back to some kind of lost knowledge or...
A forgotten chapter of humanity's story.
Right. And the Toltecs themselves, never mind the statues, were kind of a mystery, weren't they? Even the Aztecs saw them as this golden age of enlightenment, like intellectual and spiritual predecessors.
Exactly. Figures like them appear in so many myths across cultures, warrior sages protecting sacred wisdom. And the rise of Tula, with its warrior priest elite, fits right into that archetype. It's like they embodied this balance of martial strength and cosmic awareness.
But even their fall echoes these grand cycles of history, right?
It does. And it makes you think, did their collapse scatter their knowledge or preserve it in unexpected ways?
So, thinking about how the Toltecs might have preserved or scattered their knowledge, it leads me to this fascinating thread, Marlene. Could these traditions, this balance of wisdom and martial strength, be echoing something even older, like those legendary lost continents of Atlantis or Mu?
Right. And it's not as far-fetched as it sounds, honestly. So I had this conversation with an alternative archaeologist a while back.
Here we go.
Bear with me. He had done years of research comparing the sacred geometry of Tula with other, let's say, enigmatic sites, like Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And the similarities are uncanny. Both have these insane alignments with celestial events, the solstices, equinoxes, even specific star patterns.
Wait, are we saying the Toltecs and the Khmer Empire were somehow connected? Across like thousands of miles?
Not directly connected, no. But the idea he floated, it was fascinating, was that both cultures might be drawing from some shared ancient source of knowledge. Something that predates both civilizations entirely. Like a root system buried beneath history, nourishing these, branches that we see sprouting up globally.
Okay, hold on. Let me get this straight. The precision of Tula's layout, its sacred geometry, might share DNA with Angkor Wat, and that's supposedly from Atlantis or Mu.
Or neither, or both. That's where it gets murky. We're not talking about literal fingerprints here. It's more symbolic, you know? These sites seem to reflect a universal language of temple construction, like a global blueprint for aligning structures with the cosmos.
All right, so essentially, it's not just architecture. Their temples, their cities, were mirrors of the universe. Like Tula wasn't just a city. It was a cosmic diagram or something?
Exactly. This archaeologist mentioned the Toltec concept of teotl, which loosely translates to a divine cosmic force. For them, everything was connected, above and below, the physical and the spiritual.
And that's universal, right? I mean, look at places like Giza, Stonehenge, even sites in the Pacific Islands. The same obsession with these alignments, these sacred measurements. It's like ancient cultures were literally wired to think about the universe in ways we've lost today.
Exactly. That's why Tula feels like more than just a historical site. Those Atlantean figures? They don't just stand there for decoration. They stand for something. A connection to some ancient system of knowledge that we can only guess at today.
You're saying they might be actual remnants, symbols, of some pre-cataclysmic civilization? Like they were echoes of an Atlantean priesthood, guarding secrets after this big reset?
Well, that's one theory. And in this theory, the divine knowledge survived global catastrophes, Atlantis drowning beneath the sea, or Mu sinking into the Pacific. Those survivors, the keepers of that knowledge, they supposedly spread across the world. And their descendants, they taught people to build these cities, these monuments.
Cities like Tula.
Exactly. And let's not forget the warrior priest archetype.
Ah, the warrior sages.
Exactly, Robert. That archetype pops up everywhere. Egypt had their own, with the temple guardians. India had their Kshatriya veers, or warrior saints. And then there's the Pacific Islanders, who trained warrior monks tasked with protecting sacred wisdom. The Toltecs fit that mold perfectly.
All right, I've got to ask, do you think this legacy, this global pattern, was really just practical knowledge passed along? Or are we talking cosmic, esoteric? So it's wild to think about how these warrior priest archetypes connect so many ancient cultures. And at the heart of the Toltecs' legacy, we find Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. Marlene, he wasn't just a deity of Mesoamerica, was he? He seems to represent something much bigger, a universal archetype that transcended borders.
Exactly. Quetzalcoatl is fascinating because he's portrayed not just as a deity, but as a culture bringer, a figure who introduces the arts, sciences, and spiritual practices to humanity. He's this bridge between the divine and the mortal, the teacher who brings cosmic wisdom down to earth.
Right. And the Toltec warrior priests, in a way, carried on that role. They were like his earthly representatives, protecting and passing down that sacred knowledge, blending teachings of the stars with the practicalities of daily life. Do you think they knew, the weight of the knowledge they were guarding?
Oh, absolutely. And you can see their influence ripple outward, all the way to the Aztecs, who revered the Toltecs as the golden age of wisdom. Even in modern times, we see elements of their teachings resurface. Have you heard of Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements?
Of course. I mean, that book is a bestseller, right? And it takes Toltec wisdom and reframes it for our modern world. Stuff like being impeccable with your word, not taking things personally. It's ancient advice, but it somehow feels timely.
That's the beauty of it. Ruiz took these historical, spiritual principles and made them accessible. The Toltec path, as he describes it, is about personal mastery, about clarity, discipline, and harmony with the forces around us. And honestly, doesn't that bring us full circle? It's the same balance of physical strength and spiritual awareness that the warrior priests embodied centuries ago.
It's like their legacy didn't just survive history. It evolved. Those Atlantean-like statues, the temples, the myths, they might crumble, but the ideas, they've stuck with us. The Toltecs weren't just a civilization, they were a blueprint, a reminder of humanity's potential.
Exactly. And maybe that's what draws us to places like Tula, or even to books like The Four Agreements. It's this feeling that we're rediscovering some forgotten truth, something that connects us to a larger universal story about who we are and where we come from.
And on that note, I think we've traveled far enough today. From the Atlantean echoes and the statues of Tula to the inner Toltec path alive in modern spirituality, it's been one wild exploration.
Definitely. And it's amazing to see how the Toltec's wisdom continues to inspire questions and self-discovery. Let's keep exploring these mysteries next time.
All right, folks, thanks for tuning in to Moo the Motherland podcast. Keep questioning, keep seeking, and we'll see you next time.